Welcome to ATV Frontline News. I'm Kristiane in London. The news this hour. Iraq has been put on a war footing after Saddam Hussein issued a decree dividing the country into 4 military districts. The mysterious form of pneumonia connected with air travelers from Hong Kong is believed to have killed 9 people and infected 170 others worldwide. Philip Powell reports. Tony, thank you very much for joining ATV to discuss your exclusive interview with Saddam Hussein. Perhaps we could just go over a few points. Could you describe the circumstances of how you were actually brought to the interview?
Well, I start a bit further back.
So you think this interview may have a significant impact on the debate between US and UK citizens and even world leaders?
Not just between the US and UK citizens.
Now, the US and the UK believe that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, biological, chemical and nuclear weapons. What are your comments on this?
Blix has said that he has no proof and wants more time.
You mentioned sanctions earlier. It is often said that sanctions are actually the most lethal and the most silent weapon of mass destruction.
I agree with that entirely.
Tony Benn, thank you very much for joining ATV.
Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all well-fed and well-watered and ready to take an exclusive look behind the scenes of the making of the Pirelli calendar 2004. Let's see Nick Knight's dreamlike vision unfurl. So Nick, how did you come up with the idea of asking women how they want to be depicted?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. Do you want to hold the mic?
Thank you very much. Now, these are not just stunningly beautiful photographs, but you actually turn these images into true pieces of art with your special post-production process. Could you enlighten us a little bit how that works? Can we do this at home?
Yes, you can do this at home, everybody.
You were actually the pregnant lady in the shoot. What was that like, being pregnant and then sort of staged in a sexy way?
I think it was a very nice example for all the ladies.
Exactly. And now, you've just given birth, would you believe it, 10 weeks ago, and you're already modeling again. What is your trick?
Thank you.
This is a very impressive lady.
Well done.
You've been starring in a lot of campaigns, Panique, and a lot of famous campaigns, Ralph Lauren or whatever, but you also do a lot of charity work. She's on the US Board of Advisory for Refugees and speaks next to Hillary Clinton and other dignitaries like that. Now, what was your biggest success?
For me, I measure success in happiness.
Well, with me now to discuss the extreme weather affecting Africa at the moment is our very own Richard Weiss. Welcome, Richard. Tell us about the weather, the extreme weather affecting Africa at the moment. Let's start with Mozambique. How come in one part of the country there are floods and the other part there are droughts?
Well, a lot of people may be confused by that. It's a very long country.
Are you saying it's a man-made flood because of all the dams?
Well, it's a combination of things.
Let's quickly go over to Kenya, because it seems to have a similar problem with droughts in one area of the country and floods in the other. What's the reason for this?
Well, topography becomes part of the reason there.
Very briefly, the long-term and the short-term outlook.
Well, I think the long-term is not.
Thank you very much, Richard. It was really nice talking to you. Great to see the tradition of cabaret has revived again, and cabaret in Berlin is alive and kicking. Meanwhile, the Berlin Film Festival boasts an array of talent from around the world, but the German film everybody's talking about at the moment is called Life is Like a Building Site, written and directed by Wolfgang Becker, and I'm off to meet him right now. In lovely Istanbul, we've now moved on to Seedömüş, which is like a ferry and goes from the European part of Istanbul to the Asian part and back. It's kind of like to avoid the rush hour. And behind me you can see one of the many palaces where the last few sultans lived it up, and you can actually have a look inside the palace because now it is a museum. You've just done a remix for Bon Jovi. Isn't that a bit of a strange thing to do for someone who doesn't like rock music?
Yeah, and that's why we did it.
We are in the Paris of the South, Barcelona.
Größte Dankeschön gehört natürlich euch. Vielen Dank.